Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Today, we're in the great outdoors region of Pennsylvania, a unique destination that's all about adventure, affordability, accessibility, and a whole lot of curb appeal. Next on Beyond Your Backyard.
Beyond Your Backyard is being brought to you in part by the following. With Bill, there's only one.
My name is Erik Hastings. Yeah, that's me. And for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to travel, and I still do today. But you know what I've learned? There's so much more that brings us together than divides us. Which is why I've made it my mission to do the very same things you can do, but to take you beyond the experiences, to uncover the soul of every place we visit. Let me introduce you to the people, the places, and the secrets that remind us how exciting it is to share with one another, to understand one another, and to realize just how connected we really are. I am Erik the Travel Guy, and this is Beyond Your Backyard.
As far as I can tell, any story worth reading, watching, listening to, or even telling has a beginning, middle, and an end. There are heroes to root for, villains to root against. The themes are universal, and from time to time, we can actually learn a few things along the way. Well, here in the great outdoors region of Pennsylvania, we're writing our own story. And because there's so much to do and see here, we've got a lot to choose from. And you know what? That's a good thing. On this particular episode, we're going to learn more about what life was like for the residents of this part of Pennsylvania over the centuries. We're going to learn the reasons behind the French and Indian War, and we're going to visit some of the locations where that war was fought. We will meet a wild elk herd, and in my very arms, I'm going to hold a baby fawn that was born when? Yesterday. Where will our story end? I can't wait to show you. Let's get started.
So here's the great state of Pennsylvania. The Laurel Highlands are here, as featured on a previous episode. Philadelphia is here, and up here is where we are today. The Pennsylvania Great Outdoors region is made up of 5 counties and Cook Forest State Park. The region is the perfect destination for family fun and outdoor adventure. Here you'll find the rolling Appalachian Mountains and more than 1 million acres of forest land, including the Allegheny National Forest, Cook Forest, and many state parks. 2 mighty rivers cut across the landscape. Plus, there are fish-filled lakes, scenic overlooks, and wildlife galore. Meander through the small towns, shop in locally owned stores, and sample delicious rustic cuisine. I made my first visit to the Pennsylvania Great Outdoors region back in our first season, and because there's so much wide open space here, we couldn't fit it in all in one episode. So we're back again to pick up where we left off.
And speaking of land, I have a delicious recipe for an educational and entertaining weekend. It's 1 part British, 1 part French, 1 part native people, and a big part of Cook Forest.
Each year, the story of the French and Indian War comes alive with dramatic reenactments for an entire extended weekend. And I wanted to learn more about the significance of this chapter in our history.
When visitors come in the thousands, that they will, depending upon the weather, of course, what are they going to see while they're here?
We aren't trying to portray one thing. We're trying to show everything that was involved in daily life in the 1750s. From simple things like repairing your clothes, taking care of your equipment, cooking your meals, storing your food, preserving food for the future, anything that you can imagine. This is our way of getting it done.
And we're talking mid-1700s here.
1750 to 1760, roughly, that 10-year span.
And a lot of times, certainly in our modern day living, we romanticize about a simpler time. I wish we could go back to a simpler life. And isn't it
sort of odd that when you come out here and show what that simple life was about, we found
it becomes very complicated.
Very complicated, not so simple.
I often get frustrated with some of the textbooks who will talk because there was no formal education. They were illiterate people. No, they were rocket scientists,
right?
Just in a different way. Many more people could read than write because reading is a skill of the brain, and they had very good brains. Writing is a manual skill that they didn't have a chance to practice.
Got it.
How many of us could farm?
Right.
How many of us could repair a musket? These are physical skills that even an 8-year-old back then was capable of.
What do people not know about this conflict and about this encampment? What are always people, they come out here and they go, oh my gosh, Mike, I never knew ... Help us out.
That there was a lot more to it than Braddock's defeat. And there was a lot more to it than the Plains of Abraham. There were several great battles, and the great battles are wonderful, and that's what all the books have. But there were very small little encounters every day. The natives would be trying to trade a couple captives back to the English, or they would be bringing them to the French, hoping for trade goods in exchange. The French would capture English who were in incursion into the area, trying to take the Indian trade away. There was just all kinds of little brush fire things, and those are the ones that have gotten lost in all the pages of the textbooks. This is a very unique situation in doing living history that we get to use Cook Forest, but there's nothing better than being able to show it in the kind of setting that you would have had in the 1750s.
Got it.
That's something that's unique to this event. There's two events that as reenactors we want to take part in. Old Fort Niagara, 4th of July weekend.
Got it.
And a site like that that's been around for 250 years, how could you not love it?
Right.
And Cook Forest because of the community and the park and just everything that we have in front of us.
How much information do we have that's documented, that's reliable from history, that talks about the specific locations within Cook Forest?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
And documentation with all of the French and Indian War stuff is very difficult because a lot of the records were made, but the French lost, and a lot of their records were destroyed. A better war name for it really would be the War of Empire or War of Conquest.
Right, because we're talking territories, right? Yeah.
It's all territory. The French felt that they had a previous claim to this. The English felt it was essential to their use of North America to be able to expand their colonies across, and the natives, unfortunately, were caught in the middle.
In the middle. This is an annual event.
Right. This is beyond reenacting. This really is history alive.
The scene here is poignant, dramatic, but age-appropriate for the family. I loved it. On a practical note, you may want to consider hunkering down for a relaxing stay at the Gateway Lodge. Nestled among the hemlock and pine of Pennsylvania's Cook Forest lies a grand getaway destination with the intimate feel of a bed and breakfast. Relax in the comfort of a perfectly appointed guest room or suite with a gas fireplace and a fireside jacuzzi, or in one of their new rustic cabins along the river. Receive a spa treatment, and be sure to take part in a farm-to-forest feast of the senses in their dining room. My adventure continued by making a quick stop at a very unique and historic roadside attraction.
You're going to meet Pebbles, who is 20 years old.
This is exciting.
And you're going to meet new babies that are one day, not even 1 day old. They were born last night at 6.
Come on.
We have 24 acres, and the deer have 10.5 acres to play in. In the wild, they never lay with their fawns. They just come back and feed them.
Hi, Pebbles.
Hi, Pebs. Do you want an apple, sweetheart? She's such a good girl. Yes, she is.
Yeah, you want one? You are so sweet. My gosh.
You do like this. You'll hold your hand flat like a plate.
Yeah?
And then,
She'll just have a little not from Mom. You want one?
Maybe she's going to tell you she wants to eat out of your bucket. She loves to eat out of the bucket.
Instead.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you serve a
Pebbles,
prima donna. I love her. What does she do all day?
Actually, what she does is that babysit children. She has great-grandchildren, grandchildren, and daughters and sons. Whenever you see Pebbles, you see some of her offspring laying with her. She's a very good babysitter.
Got it.
And
Could
so,
you come by my house? I'm always looking for good help.
Now, this dark fur is her winter coat.
Okay.
She hasn't got her summer coat full yet because we've been having really bitter nights.
So, young kids, families, they can come out here and they can actually feed them?
Yes.
Similar to what we're doing.
Yeah, but they're on the outside of the fence. And what I do is, and I bring the deer over and we tell everybody, hold your hand flat like a plate, and they scoop the bites out of their hand. We're open all day from 10 a.m. to dusk.
All right, now I gotta meet somebody else. Now hang on, you can come with us though. Come on. Come on, yeah.
There's one baby right there.
Look at her. Look at how pretty she is.
This baby was born last night at 6 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
And her name is Cookie Dough. She's a little girl. She doesn't know what to think of Abby because this is the first time she met her.
Why did you decide to do this?
Years ago, my husband said that in Pennsylvania, everybody shot deer at 1.5 years old and they never got to live. So he wanted to raise some deer to see how long they could live. And we were the first ones that ever made a park like this. And the reason we are here is ever since I was a little kid, I always told my parents when I grow up, I want to live up here because it's so beautiful up here. We always camp here.
Right.
We bought this property and it was all woods. We cleared it ourselves. We have built everything here ourselves just with our family. Wow. That is the boy, that's the little buck, Comet. So we can see Comet. Because I can let you hold him.
No, come on.
Yes, really, you can. You have to do that when they're tiny so they learn not to be afraid of people.
Hi, buddy. Well, you're awful cute.
It's all right. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Gosh.
There you go.
And you literally calmed that. You're like the deer whisperer.
That's why
I've never seen anything like this. You are the deer lady. He just calmed right down.
Well, I've been doing this 30 years. I might have something to do
You
with
may
it.
have a trick or two up your sleeve.
It's amazing. In 6 months, they are so big compared to now. They literally double in size every week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I started calling them by name. As I said each deer's name, they jumped up and ran over, and everybody's just standing there. But they know their names, and they've been here all these years. So
How many deer total?
20. So now with the new babies, it's 22.
22.
We always keep our herd at about 20 deer. That way they stay tame, they know you, and it's clean and green. We plant grass 3 times a year.
What are you going to do when you don't want to do this anymore?
Well, my husband and I would love to have somebody take over that cares about animals, but we have not found anyone when they realize it is actual work.
Yeah.
You just don't play with animals, you know, you have lots of work to do. My husband will be 75 and I will be 68.
Wow.
So it's like,
Yeah.
we're just hoping and praying we'll meet somebody that says, oh yeah, I'd love to do that.
Holding that fawn was out of this world, and it reminded me of another must-do here in the region. Did you know Elk and Cameron counties are home to the largest wild elk herd in the northeastern United States? Nearly 1,000 of these amazing creatures roam free in the Benazet area, a premier elk viewing and conservation education facility with a 4D theater, interactive exhibits, discovery room, live cams, and horse-drawn wagon rides. Visitors from all over the world come here to see these powerful animals in their natural habitat. Oh, and while we're on the subject of power, we headed over to Cool Spring.
I have a hard time even describing what I'm looking at, so help us out a little bit here. This is amazing looking. What is it?
It's a 600 horsepower snow gas engine.
Okay.
Runs on natural gas.
Okay.
It was built in 1917. This end of the machine in front of the flywheel is the engine part.
Got it.
On the back side of the flywheel is the natural gas compressor.
Got it.
To transmit it through the pipeline system. And then that goes on to the consumer. Nice. You know, steel mills, homes, heating.
How many of these are around of this size?
When in the time period they built these, this is a mid-range size. And in some of the stations, they might have 24 of these all lined up in a perfect row. It's a 4-cycle engine, basically what's in your car today. You can see what everything does. Everything's hidden today. And at the time when a lot of these engines were built, the owners were proud to show them off, you know, in their factory because it was a new technology and, you know, it was the computers of the day.
Right.
So they, you know, would let people come into the factories and they kept the engine rooms spotless and the engines were clean and would show them off. They were proud of the technology.
All right, so what are we going to do? Walk me through this.
Okay, we have to put the air start distributor, engage it into the end of the camshaft, and then we already removed these keepers from the air start check valves.
Okay.
We will turn the gas on. Then we turn the lube oil on, which lubricates all the bearings, are all Babbitt bearings. We got to turn the air on over there. Okay, you're going to open this up as fast as you can.
This is not going to work out. Oh wait, something's happening.
Push that in, yep.
I've seen this before. This was in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They make the everlasting gobstopper.
Yeah, you look at all the castings on it. You know, how they did all these little shapes and that here.
Yeah.
But today, they'd never do.
Why?
Just because of expense, you know.
Got it.
And back then, it was, they made, not only would they make it functional, but they made it aesthetically pleasing. You know, the pattern makers and the foundry people, and machine shop people that made this, you know, were just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's the size of some of the machine tools just to build this engine.
There is that sense of ownership.
Correct.
And pride. I make sure that works perfectly.
Yep.
Because everything has to work perfectly.
That's right.
And if it doesn't, you'll blow up the building.
Yeah.
People really get hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure we went through plenty of trial and error till we got to this point.
Yep. Yeah, the first compressor engines, gas engine driven, were designed, say, around 1900. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's 17 years later, this, you know, was really developed compared to that one. I think a lot of the gas from this engine went up towards the Buffalo, New York area. Mm-hmm. So probably went to the mills up there and, you know, other industry that was in that area. See that round crank guard there?
Yeah.
That should have a side on it to contain oil splashing around, whatever. And you'd stick your hand into that black hole.
Oh, come on.
And it'd come up and it'd hit their hand and it'd see if it was hot or not. Yeah.
That's crazy. How many people would maintain, and when this machine is running like this, how many people would walk around?
A small handful, and they would run 24/7. So you'd have maybe 6 guys a shift, depending on how many engines were in the station too.
Got it.
But only, you know, and then one engineer could take care of a couple engines. But then when mechanic in time came, or, you know, it'd be all hands on
All
deck.
hands on deck. But even he's doing it right now. As we're standing here, he's working on it's running, but he knows, oh, I got to do a little something over
Yeah, make
here.
his rounds every few hours. Yeah, it's an interesting place to come, just to, one, see the history of, you know, internal combustion.
Yeah.
You know, we have engines here from the reproduction from the late 1860s. And most people don't even think there was gas or gasoline engines before 1900.
Isn't there, though, a group of a faction of people who believe that the downfall of our civilized society can be traced back to the combustible engine?
Yeah, I'd say that's
like
true,
haven't we
yeah.
figured out, said, okay, well, isn't there a better way to do this? And I happen to like the fact that we're asking those questions. You know, maybe that was something that okay, maybe this isn't good for the environment. Okay, great.
I mean, nobody wants to make a mess of the environment anymore, in my belief.
Agreed.
You know, people want to make it better.
Yeah. How could we possibly understand how to get somewhere in the future if we don't really understand where we are now and where we came from? And here you go. You can say, oh, wow.
I mean, going from this engine to what we have today is just unbelievable, you know, in terms of efficiency, less pollution, everything. You know, this is so archaic by today's standards.
Right.
You know, the steam engines, when this was built, were maybe, it depends, but 3 to 7% efficient, thermal efficiency. You know, these were up 20 in that area.
And that's a
giant
huge
jump.
deal, yeah.
So if we were still running, you know, steam like we used to,
right,
it'd be a lot dirtier place than it is today.
Right. But again, that's
technology.
That's what we call progress.
That's progress.
Good
that's right.
progress. How long would this machine run before it was stopped?
They might run it for months at a time.
Really?
Yeah, without ever shutting it down.
That's what this would do?
Uh-huh.
This is it. It's not going to do anything else.
Do that, that's it.
But I love it. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you.
You know, the more time I spend in Pennsylvania's great outdoors region, the more I realize how much this place has to give. All of my trips here, I've learned something new, from beer to moonshine to Major League Baseball and the weather capital of the world. I had fun playing golf, riding a go-kart, and just being at peace with these beautiful surroundings. Whew, I'm hungry, and I have just the place for authentic Q.
I believe this lunch was made by the barbecue gods themselves right in the back. After all, this is called Devil's Barbecue.
Fall off the bone ribs, delicious sides, tangy and sweet sauces, and so much more make up this casual barbecue joint. Forest Nook is also an excellent dining option, or take the Burger Challenge at Gunner's. These are just a few of the many unique spots in the region to enjoy breakfast, lunch, dinner, or cocktails by the river. In addition, I suggest you break bread with my new best friend, Zach.
What do we have in here? What is this?
This is our loaded steak risotto.
Oh my Lord.
We like to call it the small plate.
This is your idea of a small plate.
Yeah,
I love it.
You got protein, veggies, starch. There's lots of cheese and cream in there.
All the finer things.
Oh, yes, yes.
Let's dig in. I mean, come on. 9 o'clock came and went. Daddy's hungry. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. Oh, my God. This is going to be amazing. Oh. Wow. It's really light. It's flavorful. Packs a punch. It's also not overly salty.
Parmesan's really salty, and we marinate all the beef, so I try not to add too much extra.
That's perfect. Now, this plate right here looks amazing.
Yeah, so I wanted to try and feature as many of our local farms as I could right here. It's got a really nice stuffing, too.
Golden. What? There's stuff in there, too?
Stuffed pork chop,
Oh,
yes.
come on.
The stuffing is Gruber Farms sausage.
Can I cut in there?
Yeah,
It's okay.
go for it. Rip
It's
into
going to
it.
happen, Neil. It's happening. I'm doing it.
And there's Who Cooks For You Farms basil. And I think I used
Oh, my Lord.
local winery in there. There's
Yeah.
some Pinot Grigio in the stuffing.
Look at this stuff. This.
Oh, there's even local cheese.
What?
Pasture-made creamery.
Look at that. That looks... You know what? Sometimes people cook the pork, they overcook it. Because people get a little nervous about the pink. It's like, no, no, no. This is cooked perfectly. I hope tonight, when you go to bed, I hope you lay in bed and just stare at you and go, nailed it. I got it. I mean, this is amazing.
As long as that's how you feel, Eric.
You're almost the institute of change in your backyard here, which is what else, that's what's going on with the rest of the country. They're starting to go, yeah, I want to know what's in my food.
Exactly, it's a movement. People are kind of appreciating where things come from and the higher quality. And
Yeah, with anything, change is always hard. I want to know where it came from. I want to know what I'm putting in my body. That's a big deal. Thanks for having us, by the way.
Thank you.
Seriously.
So you see, every memorable story has a beginning, middle, and an end. So start your next vacation chapter here in the great outdoors region of Pennsylvania. I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Thank you for exploring beyond your backyard.
Do we have to wear hats or something, or what? Hard hats? Do we need a fire extinguisher? Is there a safety officer close by?
If I say run, just
I gotta call my lawyer. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I told you. I knew this was true. Look at this. Watch. The gobstopper.
I'm not going to turn purple, am I?
No, no. Violet, you're turning violent. Violet.
We're going to go again. Go again. The whole thing is terrible.
Oh, hi. I'm Erik. Join me each week as we go on and off the beaten path, meet interesting people. I'm going to do this entire video with my eyes closed. Let's go. You have the greatest job in the world. Yes, I know. You too can stand in a cemetery on the back of a truck with two guys standing to your right. Yep, waiting for the wind. That's how the sausage gets made. Today, we're in the... I forgot where we are completely. Not even close.
Taipei.
Monkey's dead, show's over. Let's go.
Well, we're not going to feed you laying down. I'm sorry, it's not happening. We'll just walk around the fence and find somebody else that's standing up, Mr. Lazy.
It's exactly what the Golden Corral waitress said the other day. I was like...
For more information on this episode, visit erikthetravelguy.com. And while you're there, you'll discover other fascinating destinations just beyond your backyard and links to follow me on social media. That's erikthetravelguy.com.
Beyond Your Backyard is being brought to you in part by the following. Nashville. There's only one.
Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy. You know, I've been exploring the world professionally for more than a decade, and you know what I've learned? Is that fantastic experiences await you in every corner of the globe, but you don't always have to travel that far to uncover them. So join me each week as we go on and off the beaten path, learn something new, and sample delicious culinary. We're exploring beyond your backyard.